Jim, are you there?
Hello, Sam. Good day to you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our entertainment show. As you know, in part three of our entertainment show each week, we premiere a new movie or TV series that is debuting here in Ireland and the UK, and especially here in Ireland, where Irish eyes are smiling. And up for discussion this week, we're heading into 2025 now in the coming days with a bang. And there I say, is the time for new releases to cross this pond and greet us here in our cinema TV screens here in Ireland. And one of those epic flicks that is coming our way is being released on January the 10th. And if you like your thrillers, your mystery, your suspense, your sci-fi, and dare I say the old connection of human outer space alien interaction, this one is especially a treat for you. It's called Roswell Delirium, and it deals with a 1980s series of nuclear attacks and radiation and poisoning, and a young girl trying to find her way in the world that maybe she doesn't feel she belongs to. It features an all-star cast, including Kylee Levien, who plays the main character Mayday Malone, Ashton Leckard, who plays Firefly, Anthony Michael Hall, who plays Jerry Baskin, Ariel Budhausen, who plays Wendy Malone, Reginald Bell Johnson, who plays Mr. Brown, and our special guest this evening, he plays the character Mr. Leonard in the movie Roswell Delirium. And if you recognize that friendly demeanor, that friendly smile, dare I say it's from the iconic TV series in the 1980s, it's the one and only Flash himself, Flash Gordon, and the one and only Sam Jones. Sam, delighted to have you with us today, and dare I say, Roswell Delirium out just after the Christmas, and is it a period of festive upbringings for you and a period of excitement in the Jones household at the moment?
Oh, it's wonderful. First of all, thank you, Jim, for having me, and Merry Christmas, Happy 2025 to everybody. But isn't it funny you mentioned my character name, Mr. Leonard? It's funny as we get older, people start calling me either Mr. or Sir. So it's good. Yeah,
And
we're
I
talking
think
about,
you're fully on the way to knighthood, Sam. There's no
yeah,
fear in
that's right. And also, I want to give a big shout out to some of my friends. Jim, I think you know Brian Cooney.
that.
He's iconic out there with the big events that he does, the big Comic Cons and wonderful. And I just want to say hi to him and his family and all the fans as well. Thank you for coming out and watching our newest film, Roswell Delirium. And it's just what Jim said. You know, it's post a big nuke bomb went off and everybody's running around normal and in denial that they have radiation poisoning. And then, of course, there's lots of other interesting things going on with the characters, and of course, the my dog is okay. Relax there. Of course, Richard Bakewell did a great job writing, directing, producing, and of course, you mentioned Anthony Michael Hall, actor, also producer, and then other actors who I had a scene. I had one long scene with Ariel, but there are other actors that I worked with 40 years ago that are in the movie who I did not work with. And Dee Wallace, everybody knows Dee Wallace from E.T. Yeah, so a Roswell Delirium, and it opens up
January the
this week,
10th. January the 10th.
January 10th. Wonderful. Well, good.
And Sam, you get many scripts and projects that come your way from talent agents and producers and directors, and many people wanting to appear in sort of cameos in TV series or movies. And what made this project sort of stand out for you to say that, yes, I want to be a part of this? Because I imagine some projects that come through your doorstep, you probably look at them and say, pass, this is not the right fit, or this is not for me, or I don't need to do this. What made this stand out to you to say that, yes, I want to get a part of going to get involved in this sort of project, dare I say? Because you probably have the luxury in terms of some actors that you can sort of pick and choose what you want to do.
I just I want to be transparent and very honest. I've been in the business 45 years. And what you just said, that really only applies to a very short list of A plus actors. Now that let me just define A, B, C, D, E, F. It's got nothing to do with talent and has to do with what your quote is. And we all know that short list, everybody from Denzel Washington to Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, very short list. And they're the ones who say, well, actually, they're probably booked for the next 3 to 5 years. And like you just said, Jim, they'll have many scripts on their desk and they'll say, no, 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 I want to do this. I don't want to do that. But for guys like me, even though I've been in the business 45 years, when somebody calls and it makes sense to me, my schedule, what makes sense is my schedule's available. I'm open. So yes, let's do it. It's a blessing. There used to be a very strange vernacular in the business. They would always say I never understood it, but they were wrong. For 25 years, they would say, well, the movie industry is very unpredictable. No, it's not. It's very predictable that it would be always inconsistent. Okay. So whenever the phone rings, and again, we're available, absolutely, man, we will jump on board. And Richard called me, and he's the writer, director, producer. And he said, this is what I have. And he said, are you available? I said, absolutely. I said, let me read it. I read it. Now, have I ever turned down anything? Yes. I turned down a television pilot, I think it was once, not because it had nothing to do with it. I mean, the pay was great, everything. And I just didn't, their premise of the character, they were sort of redefining, good is now bad, bad is now good. And I don't mind playing sort of an egregious character who's abusive, as long as that character gets what is coming to him, as long as justice is served. But if I'm portraying a character where I'm doing something really horrible, and he's glorified for that, no, I'm not. I won't be doing it. It sends a wrong message, Jim, to our youth and everybody else out there. But no, Richard called and read the script. I said, yeah, let's do it. And it's wonderful. I had a great time.
I can see by talking to you, you still get the buzz, you still get that adrenaline rush. The passion is still very much alive with you. And Sam, this project began in 2020, and through COVID, through writer strikes and everything. Did you ever think it might see the light of day with everything that went on, or do you have to put it to your back of your mind when you're involved in these projects, say that it will eventually get aired someday? We just have to wait for that
Yeah,
day
no,
to come around.
it's a great question. I mean, if I'm not the writer, producer, director, then of course I'm the actor, and I go in. My job is to show up on time and be as prepared or better prepared than anybody else. As far as, okay, is it going to do great? Is it coming out soon? That's really not my concern. I mean, obviously, it obviously makes us all feel good if the project does really well and has a great following and it has a wonderful message. But really, because in the beginning years, Jim, as young actors, we can get distracted by all of the unnecessary nonsense. I remember doing Flash Gordon in 1979, and I walked on the set and I thought, oh my God, here's all these huge actors, right, that I'm big fans of. And Dino De Laurentiis, the producer, these huge sets that Dianello Donati did. Dianello Donati is the guy who did all the Fellini movies, right? And I'm thinking, oh God, do I belong here? This is overwhelming. Well, that's not my job. Okay. That's wrong thinking. My job is and we could substitute my job. You just say your job, whatever industry you're in, is when we show up for work, again, on time means early. And again, I'm being redundant, but it's important. Be as prepared. I want to say better prepared than anybody else. And say to yourself, ask the question, what is expected of me at this very moment? If you're sitting there thinking about all the great people you're working with and all these, and that you maybe, you don't belong here because it's too much, that's wrong. So I had to learn that very early. Just focus on what is expected of me right now, of me as a professional, and deliver it and move on to the next one. But don't sit there and go, oh, how did I do? How did I do? I love film and television. You know why? What we're doing right now. Because it doesn't lie, Jim. You can't say, "Oh, I was feeling bad." Jim called me. We did our Zoom meeting. I had a cold. I was sick. I came. No, you know what? Get over it. Okay, just film tells the truth. It is what it is, and it is what you see. And again, the way you're going to be happy and pleased is not about how great you did or how good you were, but hey, I was prepared, man. I was prepared.
And Sam, this movie falls under the science fiction genre, but there's many sort of themes running through this movie. It's not just really a science fiction flick. There's a good lot of drama, suspense in terms of that.
Psychological thriller too.
Yeah. And would you see, as Sam, as an actor yourself, are you deeply invested in all genres of acting? I know people will
Of course.
relate you more to the science fiction, but do you like times where you're gritted to maybe suspense or drama or
I
one-on-one
just
heartfelt scenes? Does it give you a buzz as well? Because people relate the name Sam Jones to sci-fi and such as that. But as a talented actor as yourself, do all genres intrigue you, dare I say?
well, of course it does. Um, um, I've been blessed. I've done over 75 films, more television, of course, but 75 films, and I'm happy to say that I've done. Yes, I mean I've done a lot of leading men, but I've also believe I've done more villains and the nemesis, the antagonist, and I love it. That's where we grow as actors, and I believe especially independent films. I've done more independent films than I've done studio. The guideline, and it's great to do studio films, but there's more restrictions and guidelines to follow. And independent filmmaking, oh man, Jim, there's a freedom, there's a liberation, not to do whatever you want to do, because we all need to share in the director's vision, the writer and director's vision. We need to share that, and that's what they're looking for. Um, but there's a freedom. I give an example. On this one, yes. I mean, even with this movie, there was great freedom. Richard, of course, the director told me what he wanted, but he did give me a lot of freedom. There weren't you didn't have a team of writers breathing behind the back of your neck saying, okay, every word, iambic pentameter. I think they think it's Shakespeare, beat for beat, syllable for syllable, word for word. And I know when you do Shakespeare and you do certain projects, you have to do that. But and I do get in trouble sometimes, Jim, for improvisation. And I do, even to this day, I have to be careful that that I stick to the message and the story, the vision that the director and writer want to communicate. But I just love the freshness of improvisation. And again, the freedom the freedom of doing independent films. It's wonderful.
And Sam, you mentioned being on these sort of projects as well. And I suppose many of the times when you were starting off where you were the student and someone else was the sort of teacher in terms of a famous sort of an actor back in the day or something. But when you arrive on projects these days and you're working with young up and coming talent, young up and coming actors and actresses, do you often sort of get, if they come to you and ask you for advice or share experience, are you more than happy to give them your naysay of what the industry's been like for you and tips and pointers and maybe to
Well,
relive maybe what maybe you experienced in your early days growing up in the business where people maybe pulled you aside and had a quiet word in your ear and said, this is, if you go do this and do it, you'll go places and sort of stuff like that.
well, yeah. I mean, on Flash Gordon, the people that mentored me was Max von Sydow and Brian Blessed. Even though Timothy Dalton was my age, maybe a year or two older, I don't think he knew it, but I was watching him and studying him, and I sort of took his advice, even though he probably wasn't giving it to me. But I watch a lot of actors. But as I got older, if the younger if the younger actors asked me, I would tell them. And a lot of times I would use humor. For instance, I did a movie 3 years ago called The Silent Natural. And it was a true story about the first deaf Major League Baseball player in America, William Hoy. And we used, for the lead actor, a real deaf actor. And so I wanted to learn a little bit of sign language. I played the father, and I played his father, and the young man, the actor, not his character, but at the end of each scene, the actor, and he would taught me, this is good, this is bad, this is good, right? So at the end of each scene, he would come up to me and he would sign, and he'd move his lips, and he would say, basically, how did I do? And I would say, bad. Okay, bad. Okay. And he started laughing, but he was really good, So you kind of want to use humor, And again, I remember my first TV series, Code Red. Oh God, who was the William Smith? William Smith goes way back. He was a bodybuilder, actor. He was a really incredible character. And he saw it was my first TV series, the pilot, and I was all, jumping around, very nervous. And he looked at me, and not in front of everybody. He said, "Come here." He said, "Sam, you're doing great." He said, "Just take your time and just talk like you and I are talking right now. Act like the camera's not even there. Just be true to yourself." And boom. And so he did calm me down. But yeah, that's basically the way we're talking right now, And we need to watch really good actors. I mentioned Denzel Washington, Mel Gibson. I mean, the list goes. Robert Downey Jr. I mean, come on, the list is unbelievable. But I study people like Denzel, who's my age, and he just, to me, he brings you into that scene. He transmits you, you're there, you're part of there. You're not watching acting going on. You're watching him become the character. And that's really what we're sort of hired to do is make it real, make it true to ourselves. But if you catch anybody acting, then, they probably need to make some better choices.
It's amazing there you mentioned about the sort of techniques, and last month we were doing a series called Classic Series. We were looking back at the Kojak series, and we were talking about the great Telly Savalas, and the guest who was talking about Telly said Telly didn't learn his lines, he read them from an improv. He had people coming down the lake and sort of stuff like that, and he could just like that go into stone with a moment's notice or something like that. Wow. And off you went there. So throughout the different generations and different actors, they all had their different sort of techniques or loopholes that sort of work for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I suppose, Sam, in terms of Roswell Delirium, when we see this 21st century, we see all these sort of green screen and these all sorts of special effects and what the movie industry is sort of moving towards. And maybe there's still an awful lot of stunts being done to this day, but back in the 80s and 90s, it was all stunts driven as well. Do you think maybe that green screen, while it's positive for the industry as well, that it's just some sort of setbacks to it as well in terms of I know it propels us to what we think is unbelievable, but dare I say the stunts business, there was a sense of credibility to it as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's overdone. I think it's really overdone. I mean, let's be, young filmmakers ask me for advice, and I tell them, I said, look, yes. I said, here's the problem I see. You as a young filmmaker, I watch these movies all the time, and yes, your job is to tell your story, have people you hire are going to share your vision, and you've got to put your signature on it. But don't make it so creative for creative sake, so different just because you want to be different that you lose the common sense, practical thinking. As we look at all these special effects and CG and the green screen, okay, wait a minute. No, that's not real. Okay. I got it with Marvel and DC. I got it. Okay. He could jump high. He could fly. He has superhuman strength. Okay, fine. But all this other stuff, I watch a lot of foreign films too, the Asian films and the martial art films. I'm a martial artist myself, but people don't fly. I mean, people don't fly from building to building, in real life, unless you're doing a Marvel or DC film. Okay. But if it's character driven, which every script should be, and obviously you got to have the action. I tell you, Jim, I am so selective right now. I'm very impatient. They used to have this other guideline in the movies. Maybe they still have it. I don't care. I don't go by it. It does is okay. You got 10 minutes to get the audience's attention. Well, with me, no, you don't. Okay, I'm sorry. If you don't grab my attention within a few seconds, I'm gone. Next on Netflix. You got to grab my attention. I'll give you a great example. Now I know Richard. I know he grabbed in Roswell Delirium. Obviously, even the title grabs your attention. Grab their attention. Have all these, maintain it through the whole story. Have these twists and turns. We go, oh my God. Try to get people on the edge of their seat, and you better close it out. You better knock a grand slam. You better get that winning goal. At the very end. But yeah, another good example of grabbing your attention from the very beginning. Do you remember Sandra Bullock in Bird Box? Was it Bird Box? I think it was Bird Box.
Bird Box, yes,
Yeah, and
yes.
you don't really, all you see is, I think, the river, and you hear the dialogue. You hear this woman talking to, it sounds like her kids, and the urgency. Okay, I'm at the edge of my seat. Wow, she's sharing something with them. They're about to die. Something huge is about to take place. So that's what you call grabbing your attention immediately. I believe in grabbing and I understand you got to develop characters, but wait a minute. Don't try to develop the characters so much in the beginning where I'll sit there and every time I do this, Jim, every time I do this, okay, 5 minutes have gone by. Okay, it's kind of interesting, but it's boring. And I hear this voice say, well, give it another 5 minutes. And every time I say, give it another 5 minutes, and then I add another five, and I'm into it for 25, 30 minutes, and it is boring, and it ends up being boring. Okay. So this is my sort of indicator. I know it's not how a lot of people should think, but I'm saying grab their attention right now, instantaneously, and carry that through to the
And
very.
yeah, and Sam, before I bring you back to sort of close on Roswell Delirium that is coming our way on January the 10th, I know you visited the Emerald Isle on many occasions and got to sample the Irish lifestyle, got to sample the Irish cuisine and the hospitality.
Oh,
And
yeah.
is it a place when you look at your calendar each year or every few years and you look at destinations where you try to think, well, maybe a trip or a vacation is on the cards? Does Ireland come into your in terms of one of those top 5 or top 10 destinations where you think, yeah, this might be on, I might want to revisit again here. I miss this place.
Yeah, well, sure. Look, I'm fortunate and blessed. Like I said, I not only do I get to travel to Ireland, Northern Ireland, England, Scotland, other parts of, and then Europe as well. It's a paid vacation. They're flying me out there to do a Comic Con, to do a movie, to do an event, and obviously at the same time, I just love it. I took one of my sons is 25, and I took him to Ireland, to Dublin and Belfast. I wanted to take him to the brewery,
Okay.
the
Guinness
yeah,
Brewery, yeah.
the Guinness Brewery. And he's 18. He had never touched alcohol. I said, so we went there. He said, Dad, I think I'd like to try a Guinness. So, okay, it's kind of cool to be the dad and be with your son. And, he's never touched alcohol because he was a top athlete and it never appealed to him. So he tastes the Guinness. Okay. I said, how was it? How was it? Because it is my favorite beer. And he said, Dad, it's the worst thing I've ever tasted in my life. I said, okay, well, wait a minute. Okay, we'll try the ale. What do you call it? The lager, the blonde.
Yeah, the cider.
Cider. Okay. I said, I tried this other one. It's not dark. And I said, what do you think of that? He said, Dad, it's the second worst thing I've ever had in my life. So beer was not his thing, especially Guinness. So he likes to drink a little red wine every now and then. But here's, and I know I'm preaching to the choir when I talk to you and all the Irish, but the Irish are so serious about their Guinness. I had a couple Irish come out here from Belfast and from Dublin. I took them to a really cool restaurant that had Guinness on tap. And so I went to order for them. I said, bring all my buddies a Guinness on tap. And they said, Sam, sorry, we can't drink the American Guinness on tap. I said, are you serious? He goes, yeah, Sam, you don't do. And he said, please don't take this personal, but we're very serious about our Guinness in Ireland. He said, I said, well, what do you do? What do we not do here that you do in Ireland? He said, you don't bleed the lines. You may bleed them once a month or twice a month. We have quality control in Ireland and in Northern Ireland, quality control, where they come in, once or twice a week and they bleed the lines. I went, okay, it's great. So anyway, that was very, very shocking, but I get it. I get it.
And I suppose Sam Jones, Roswell Delirium, January the 10th is just around the corner. It's a nice way to kickstart off the new year. What advice would you give to all our audience and our listeners that is looking to start the new year with a nice sort of movie to get into rhythm for a prosperous 2020-25? And what can they expect to see when they walk into the cinema screens and watch Roswell Delirium and see your own character, Mr. Leonard?
Yeah, well, Mr. Leonard, he's a hard piece to figure out. But no, uh, uh, the acting again, it all starts with the writing and the directing by Richard Bakewell. But yeah, it again, just sit back, enjoy the ride. It's a psychological thriller. It's an adventure. It has some really cool twists and turns. And just sit back and try to figure it out. It's not brain surgery here, okay, but it's entertainment. And Richard does a great job. I did my one long scene with Ariel. She's wonderful. All the actresses, all the actors and actresses did an incredible job. I wish I had other scenes that I did with them, but that was not my character. But yeah, I always tell people don't try to over brainstorm it. Just sit back and enjoy this ride, especially the psychological thriller on how it's impacting all the characters in the movie, and obviously that has an impact on us. It's entertainment, so enjoy it.
Enjoy it, and that's a great word to start the new year heading into 2025. Enjoy the movie, enjoy life, and certainly I've enjoyed being in the presence of Sam Jones there this evening. And for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Sam Jones, stay safe, take care, God bless her, may it be a prosperous 2025. We look in joyful anticipation to see you on our movie screens in Roswell Delirium, alongside Kylee Levien, alongside Anthony Michael Hall, Ariel Bud House, and Dee Wallace, Reginald VelJohnson. You can catch out Sam Jones as Mr. Leonard in Roswell Delirium. But for me, Jim Conlan, to you, Sam Jones, stay safe, take care, and God bless her.